So, keeping with my week of Halloween themed podcasts, I'm going to tell you guys a spooky story, something that happened to me. So, we've all heard about it, many books written about it, many television shows about it, many people who will tell you about it. You're like, Dave, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't you know how to write a fucking thesis? You say what you're going to talk about first, then you go and... Hey, listen, asshole, whoever you are. It's called suspense, build-up. I mean, if shit, Alfred Hitchcock told you what was going to happen before, well, he wouldn't be the master of suspense. He'd be the shittiest horror writer ever. Was that really horror? It's kind of funny to think that was scary enough to like have people run out of the theater. But that was part of his genius. You never see the girl in the bathtub or the shower get stabbed. No. It's why M. Night Shyamalan's earlier movies were pretty good. Because he never really showed you anything, and then he kind of got stupid. He's like, what if trees attack us? Okay. Okay. Spoiler alert. One of his movies, it was the trees. So what are you talking about, Dave? Jesus Christ. Near-death experiences is what I'm talking about. And I was always skeptical. Like, yeah, okay. I even read books as a kid. There were a couple in my house about people who had stories of dying and coming back and blah, 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 blah. That wasn't until I had my own near-death experience, and now I'm going to tell you about it. So, what happened was, I was at the McDonald's, and I was inside the lobby waiting for service. And I'm waiting patiently. A minute goes by. 2 minutes goes by. 3 minutes goes by. And now I'm starting to get a little concerned, because it wasn't like there was nobody there. During this 3 minutes, there was a girl right across from me on her phone texting. She would occasionally look at me and then sort of almost as if to look through me and then back to her phone. So I was like, this is weird. Like even at some point, I was standing where the opening is, where the employees can come in and out. The manager basically walked right through me and into the lobby or the dining area. And it was at that point I thought, something is, oh shit. I'm dead. I'm dead because that is the only possible explanation for the fact that nobody in this McDonald's seems to notice that I'm standing here. And then I'm like, shit. Is this my fate now? I'm destined to haunt a McDonald's for eternity? I gotta watch fucking overweight people walk in and order shit they don't need. And I won't even be, I'll try to help them out. Like I'll try to knock the Whopper out of their hand, even though it's McDonald's. But they walked in with a Whopper and then they're going to order McDonald's. That's how fat they are. Or maybe I try and whisper in their ear like, hey, maybe you don't need this dose of McDonald's today. But no matter what, it would be a horrible fate to have to haunt a fucking McDonald's. But so I accepted my fate. And I headed back out to my car. Just in case. It turned out, so here was the thing that was weird. So it wasn't a Beetlejuice situation where I was trapped in McDonald's and every time I tried to leave, there were sandworms that killed me. No, I was able to leave the McDonald's, go to my car. And that's when I noticed, like, oh, suddenly I don't feel so dead anymore. I can start the car, touch the steering wheel. So I think what happened was I must have pulled into the McDonald's, died, had a heart attack, or maybe passed out into death. Maybe I was walking into the McDonald's, I tripped right in front of a drive-through car and he ran over my head. But now I'm alive again? No, that doesn't make any sense. Whatever the situation was, I was definitely dead in the McDonald's based on the fact that nobody could see me. And then somehow I was back to life again. So that was my near-death experience. I don't know. I should probably write a book. It'll be a short one. I mean, this whole thing I just did took only 6 minutes, and that's 2 minutes that I wasted just getting to the point. So basically, I should write a pamphlet. My near-death experience. I mean, I'll throw in some of the standards, like, oh, yeah, I totally saw light. My family was there. Yeah. The whole near-death experience thing. Like, you'd like to believe these people, except for it's 100% a fact. We can't trust our own brains. And when you're dying, it's theorized that your brain just basically goes, well, here it is. This is the end of it. Let's release everything we got. So basically you go on some sort of like trip because it releases everything in your brain, which technically can get you high. And then that's what people see. I know there's stories where like the lady on the surgery table is able to recall what the surgeon did while she was dead. And then I heard a story about a lady who she met. Wait, did she meet? She met somebody who told her son was going to die like a year later. And then her son did die. So I don't know. But then, you can't trust anybody. Maybe she had something weird happen, and then when her son died, now she reinvented the memory that she was told this in the afterlife, because we do that too. We invent our own reality in our heads because, quite frankly, what the fuck is real? All I know for sure that is real is this moment, and that's it. Because even if you have a memory, but you changed it, you'd have no fucking way of knowing that you did that unless somebody else corroborated, and said, no, you did this, which I've had happen to me too. People have said, like, don't you remember the time you did this? I'm like, no. Uh-oh. What else have I done that I don't remember? But then you can't trust what they tell you either because their memory could be wrong. It's just a big hell of a mess. Anyway, that was my near-death experience. So just ghosts. I always thought that the worst time to find out your house is haunted is while you got your hand down a turned-off garbage disposal. Right. Because there's lots of ways ghosts can tell you that they're in your house. Flicker the lights, or you walk in a room and all the chairs are stacked up. But imagine if, oops, drop my ring into the garbage disposal. Let me just dig around in there. And that's when the ghost is like, click. Guess what? Your house is haunted. And also, you don't have fingers anymore. So you would probably, at that point, you're not dealing with like a relative or anything. Like, this is clearly a demon ghost who's pissed. If he waited for that moment, he's like, man, I so want to haunt this guy. It's been 10 years. But I want to come in and make a statement. Uh-oh. He dropped his ring in the garbage disposal. This is it. I've never been haunted. And I've called out the spirits. I've had loved ones die, and I've asked for anything. Nothing. Sometimes I even give them like the easy one, right? Like, hey, listen, I don't need you to show up in front of me or anything, but what if this candle blew out? What if I opened a window and to prove that you're here with me, this candle blew out? What if I open this window, maybe turn on a fan or something, to prove to me that you exist, you blow this candle out? Right? I don't know. We look for signs and everything. I've done it. When it happens, it seems great, but then when you call upon it and nothing happens, then you feel like an idiot. You're like, really? Plus, my theory about the dead sending us signs is that there's a mathematical problem in the fact that if all the dead could send signs to their loved ones, the entire Earth would be flooded with butterflies and meteor showers and all the standard ways that people say they get, signs from the dead. Because it would be just nonstop, everybody sending signs to their loved ones, even if as a dead person, you could only send one sign a day. But if all the people who've ever died in all of humanity are sending one sign a day, the entire Earth would be just flooded with signs from the dead, to the point where it would no longer be a mystery. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's what happens. The dead just communicate with us. Yeah. Oh, great. More signs. Great. So the only way the sign thing would work mathematically is if in the afterlife there was some sort of rule. Like, you can only send one sign a year or something. Every 3 months or something like that. I don't know. I also thought that, I tried to summon ghosts just to see. Like, I remember one time this guy told me, like, hey, there's this place in Indiana. It's considered the most haunted place ever. Would you go in there and call out ghosts? I'd be like, absolutely. Because they don't fucking exist, and so I'm not afraid. So, yeah, I fucking bring me to any place you say is haunted, and I'll call out the ghosts, and I guarantee nothing will happen. And then people will say, nothing happened because you didn't believe in it. Like, is that how it works? Psychics, same thing. Like, hey, why do I have to fucking believe in your superpower? Superman doesn't suddenly be unable to do his superpowers because you didn't believe in him. Like, either he does it or he doesn't. Either you're psychic or you're not, or either there's ghosts or they're not. But I do sometimes call out ghosts when it's hot out. Like, when it's hot, my air conditioner's not getting the job done. I'm like, I'll light a couple candles, maybe draw a pentagram on the ground or whatever. And I call out the spirits like, come on, dead. And mostly because everyone knows that when the ghosts show up, it gets cold. So the more ghosts, the merrier. I don't know, maybe I'd have some sort of ghost thermostat where I'm like, oh, whoa, one too many ghosts. It's starting to get chilly. You, little kid from 1810 who got, killed by a tractor on this very land where I now live. Why don't you beat it? Because I've got 2 blankets on already, and I'm going to have to take a shower for work later. I don't want to goosebumps or whatever. So, and then the last thing I'll talk about, as I was talking about the dead, is there's one thing about death and afterlife that most people don't seem to really take into account or even question. I mean, there's a lot people don't question, but time. How does time run in the afterlife? Because there's a thing called general relativity and time dilation, which Now, most people who even know what I just said are probably atheists. So they're like, well, yeah, I don't need to reconcile the time discrepancy between the afterlife and real life because I don't believe in it. And then the people who do believe in it probably don't understand time dilation. But anyway, I'm going to explain it to you anyway. We like to assume, or people like to assume, that somebody dies and then they live the same timeline that you live. So they're in heaven for 50 years and then you die and you meet them or whatever. Right? But the problem with that is all time is experienced differently depending where you are in the universe. No two people experience the same time unless they're within the same reference point. So, I mean, even just satellites in space run on a different clock than we do, which is why they have to constantly adjust them so that our GPSs work. And that's, I mean, I'm talking, that's milliseconds or fractions of a second or whatever. But you start doing crazy stuff like traveling at the speed of light or close to the speed of light or going by a black hole. Well, now time gets really funky, which now, so here's what I'm saying. Let's say somebody I know dies, okay, 2023. And then I, for some reason, fall into a black hole. I don't know how it happened. You know, my mom always said, don't play too close to black holes. I don't know how it happened, but let's just say I did. I fall into a black hole. Now, for me, I fall into a black hole 2023. I'm dead probably minutes later. So in that reference point, somebody I know has just died. I fall into a black hole. I meet them minutes later in heaven. No big deal, right? Here's where the big deal comes in. I die in minutes, but to everyone who sees me fall in the black hole, it's almost an eternity before I have died. As I'm falling into the black hole, if I could somehow find a way not to get sucked in and I could stay on the event horizon, I would watch the entire universe basically blink out of existence. Like all of time will go in front of my eyes. So within my couple of minutes, everybody who's ever lived and will live, they're gone. So now we're up in heaven, except for now, have I arrived 5 minutes later, or have I arrived a trillion, billion, trillion, gazillion years later? Which would suck for the person who was waiting for you. Like, God damn it, man. Finally you show up. A gazillion, trillion years later, I told you not to fuck around with black holes. I guess this is my mom now who's dead, who's been waiting for me. So that's my thought about death. Death, ghosts, and my near-death experience. Listen, after Halloween, I'm going to lighten things up. You know, talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict or something lighthearted like that.